Welcome to partialarc.com. Don't do that.
Hi humans! Before we kick off the episode, a quick announcement. Next Monday, August 31st, will be our anniversary and final episode of the Blockbuster Punch-Up podcast. If you haven't checked it out, my co-host Todd G. Levin and I review and punch up blockbusters every other week, and this coming Monday will be our finale. But on September 14th, we'll be spinning off its sequel, Blockbuster Smash Up, a show where Todd, myself, and a few of our comedian friends will get together and smash one classically good film and one terribly bad film together to create one ridiculous movie for you to enjoy. If you like improv, movies, or just interested to hear how films like Sharknado and The Terminator could ever occupy the same screen, then be sure to check it out premiering September 14th on partialarc.com and iTunes. With that said, let's talk about Chaos Gods of Architecture, Orc Kilts, and that weird place called the Brown Library.
In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. And a lot of weird shit. Roll to seize!
Welcome to Roll to Seize. This is episode 14. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and I'm joined by my co-host and Warhammer enthusiast, Andrew Dickinger.
Hello there.
Have you been wandering down Hall 562 again?
When aren't I wandering that hall?
Oh, God.
It turns me into Batman.
Andrew, you know we're not supposed to play with the Spirit Stones, okay? We gotta put them back. Greg had very specific rules about this.
I don't follow rules.
Look, just hand over the Spirit Stone and it'll be fine.
I'm Batman.
Look, you're not Batman. We know this. It's just a spirit of Batman possessing you. It's how Spirit Stones work. Let me take it off of... Did you make a utility belt out of Wraithbone?
No, it just appears.
Is this going to be another Sherlock Holmes situation?
What do you mean?
You put on Sherlock Holmes Spirit Stone and you went around solving cases that did not need to be solved, okay? Just give me the Spirit Stone back. We're supposed to keep the historical figures in their own polished section. You know this.
I'm Sherlock Holmes, in Batman form.
Oh my God. You do... You have 2 Spirit Stones on?
It's not an addiction.
It is an addiction. All right, I'm taking these off right now. Hold on. Hold still. Wow.
You just ruined my afternoon. Thank you.
Greg set very specific rules for us, and we know what happens if we don't follow them.
Coming from the guy who takes orders from a magic clock on the wall.
Look, the vial says truths and lies, okay, Andrew? I've worked out the system.
So anyways...
Guys, we recently went to a tournament.
We did. We went to a tournament. It was a rather large tournament, a 2-day tournament.
Yeah, we typically do monthly tournaments, but this was big because it was, in fact, a 2-day tournament.
Indeed. It was the first, if you live in the LA area, there is a store called Game Empire in Pasadena, and it was their first grand tournament.
There were so many different armies, so many different people with different styles of play. It was a lot of fun.
I think there was actually only one Tau player.
Really?
Yeah.
It's amazing to think that there's only one Tau player at a 50-person tournament when compared to, last year.
Fallen from grace.
Oh, poor Tau. Well, we probably won't be saying that as soon as their new codex comes out and they have, 15 super heavies.
Fast forward 1 month. Fucking hate Tau.
Fucking hate Tau. I'm sorry, there's a time sphere that's in here sometimes that messes with us. Did we say something weird?
But yeah, so it was a blast. Got to see some cool people that run all the West Coast tournaments.
The Frontline Gaming guys were there.
Yeah.
They were tons of fun.
They were great. Got to play against...
You played Reese, right, in your first game?
I played Reese and his brother in the last game. So I played Reese in the first game, and he trashed me.
You got to bookend your time with Frontline Gaming.
Yeah, I thought that I was going to, get some vengeance on the family, but just
with your last round?
Just because Reese, wiped the floor with me in the first game.
He was rocking a orc army on bikes, right?
He was doing orc bikes, yeah, with 40 tank bustas and stuff.
So the first game didn't go so well, and how'd the last game go?
Actually, Frankie and I had a fantastic game.
That's
it was
great.
Super well balanced. It was damn close, literally down to 1 die roll at the end of the game on a 4+, and he just happened to get it, and it was a jinx save. And that otherwise we would have tied, but because
tough.
of that, we tied the primary, and he got the secondary.
Well, it's awesome that it was a fun, tight game, and it's always crazy wrenching when you get to the end of the game and it's just 1 die roll. Will that run get you that last objective? Will that jink save that last model?
Oh yeah, I mean that's pretty much the best kind of game you can ask for.
When everybody's just oh,
it's the skin of your teeth, and you're just come on, do it.
Tons of fun, and I'm sure we have some stories we'll probably talk about in our seasons from that tournament.
Totally unrelated to the seasons,
and of course, we posted a couple goofy pictures on the Instagram. So if you guys want to see any pics from that tournament, we've got a bunch up there. We're always throwing up a few more. But I guess let's get into our seasons of the month. So Andrew, what were your seizes for this episode?
Making me.
Yeah, you going first.
All right, so basically the list I ran was just a cohort Mechanicus, cohort Cybernetica. It's literally just the AdMech robot formation. It was just 6 robots and a bunch of dudes, and that's like 1,270 points.
All in one unit.
It's just one unit, and it's just silly hard to kill.
And I remember you talking about that ahead of time. You're like, I'm gonna do this.
As soon as I saw that it was possible to basically do, and you can do an entire 1850 army that's just that one formation.
Yep.
And I mean, probably someday I'll do it.
Look, all our listeners know that we are for very normal, straightforward, vanilla lists. It's very strange for us to branch out and do very weird things.
Right. Yes, I forgot. We are copy pasta.
We are copy pasta very much here on Roll to Seize.
But all that was left in my army with the rest of the points I had, which was like 500 points, was I just took the 4 assassins in the assassin arm formation.
Yep, you had like the G.I. Joes working with the robots.
Yes. So my C's is kind of just a generalized C's of just blanket disappointment.
Oh no.
I'll just disclaimer right off the bat. The assassins, I'm sorry, they are terrible.
Oh, no G.I. Joe?
No.
No Snake Eyes?
No, they're just awful. The only like semi-redeemable one is the Calexis, the Psyker one.
He seems really powerful.
He can be really good in a game against Psychers, but even in a game not against Psychers, he has one thing that the other assassins don't have, which is survivability. Like, I'm sorry, yeah, they got 3 wounds, that's great, but a 4+ save just ain't cutting it.
4+ save ain't gonna do.
They're gonna get gunned down by bolters. Like, you get gunned down by last guns. Like, it's pathetic.
Yeah, 4 saves, they're gonna die because they're T3, right?
They're T4.
Okay, so they're T4.
And 3 wounds.
Yeah.
It seems tough on paper, and then you realize it's a 4+ save, and then you're just like, well, I mean, it's like they have like an independent character stat line.
Right.
With 3 wounds and
that's true, but yeah,
toughness.
a 4+ save does not a good model make.
It's just terrible.
Especially when they're always by themselves. That's the thing. Like when we think of independent characters, they're tough because usually they're, sponged by a body of other troops that can take the bullets for them, Like either you're putting them with big guys or you're putting them with a blob of dudes.
Well, that's where
other way you get your shields.
That's where you get the term a blade of wounds from.
Right.
You have a blade of wounds with a character.
Meanwhile, your assassin is just by themselves, so they're not getting any blade of wounds from any other group or mob they're traveling with.
Yeah, so remember, with a 4+ save and 3 wounds, technically you only need to inflict 6 wounds on them and they die.
Yeah.
That's
statistically
pathetic.
That's not hard to do.
So almost in every game, maybe one assassin did something, and then that was it. I mean, like the Vindicare being the most costed one is just a joke with him being a one-shot and not being automatically Fleshbane, just because like, yeah, I want to use the thing that could do D3 wounds to your independent character, but then I have a 50% chance after I hit you to just fail. This is where my C's comes from. It's like, as much as you want to play for fun, like make sure you have ways to counteract your disappointment, because their total kill tally after 5 games in
and these
2
are
days,
assassins.
These are assassins.
It's in the name.
This is all 4 of them together. 5 games is 1 unit of Agrats, a Chimera, and 3 Marines. And that's it.
That's so sad.
I think like 1 jet bike. And that's basically all they did. In 2 games, my Eversur died to freaking Overwatch. Like, how awful is that? Like, I mean, that's like...
Your close combat death machine dying from Overwatch is so sad.
That's literally just like, well, this could not be more disappointing. In fact, the only time they proved useful was in the kill points mission, only because one of my kill points was a giant blob of robots. And then I had these 4 individual assassins that I literally kept off the board. That's how they were useful.
Jeez.
To just not be kill points.
Well, that was a very sad siege, Andrew. I'm sorry.
At least it doesn't have anything to do with Hive Tyrants.
That's true. It had nothing to do with Hive Tyrants, which is really a win. I think, you know what? That's a +1 in your column.
I didn't have to face Hive Tyrants, so I'm okay.
Yeah, that's amazing. All right, so my C's is actually, I'm still using my Harlequins, so I'm still kind of learning things about them and how they work best. If anybody was following the Instagram at all, they might have seen one of my C's could be when I sent 1 Harlequin troop at a Squigoth. That could be my C's of the month, but it's not, just because that was kind of fun and ridiculous. That went about as well as I might expect with 5 Harlequin Caresses. I think I did 2 automatic wounds or 3 automatic wounds, but it still has feel no pain. And in addition, also, it has like 8 wounds. Yeah. So like, I don't know what I was thinking. And then I was like, oh, I didn't kill it. Well, maybe I won't die. And then he was like, roll for stomp, D3 stomp attacks. And then I think he rolled like a 6 and like just deleted my entire unit. And I was just like, oh, well, there goes that entire unit.
It's cost effective is what that was.
So that's not my actual C's, but it was pretty funny and a pretty bad mistake to send a Harlequin troop at a Squiggoth. But hey, I don't get to often fight a Squiggoth in close combat, so take what you can.
Yeah, well, I mean, that comes down to how many people field Squiggoths anymore.
Exactly. Very rarely. So, I mean, when you get the chance, guys, I say go for it. You might do better than I did. I suggest guardsmen. Just send a bunch of guardsmen to Squiggoth.
Tarp it the shit out of it.
Tarp it the hell out of it. So that's actually not my C's. My C's is actually when I played, I think it was my third game of the first day, I was playing against an army, Khorne Demonkin. And the army I was playing against is they were utilizing just some cultists, they were utilizing some bloodletters, and they had a big old beast Death Star on the board. So
they had the Hound Squad.
Yeah, they had the Hounds with like the one big bad dude with the big old hammer. I think he's riding...
Juggerlord.
Right, riding the Juggerlord. So it was the Juggerlord and like a bunch of Hounds, and then he was coming in on second turn. He had 2 Fire Raptors and 3 Helldrakes. So it was a pretty mean list, especially for my Harlequins, which have no Skyfire capability. And they don't even have any really guns to shoot Sky anyway, even just roll for 6s, because all of my bikes are using the Haywire blast, so none of my bikes can shoot air, and their bolas are all blast, so they can't throw against air, and all of my tanks, like, yeah, I could fire 1 prism shot at it, but it's just 1 tank, and who cares? That tank is terrible. And then, besides that, all of my Harlequin troops just have shuriken pistols, so I'm just like, oh, this is not the best list to fight a mostly 5-flyer list with Helldrakes. So I was like, well, we'll see how this game goes. I mean, I ended up losing, but really the big C's wasn't the mismatch of my army versus that army, because really there isn't a C's in that. Sometimes your army just isn't going to work. It's going to be rock, paper, scissors. Yeah, it just doesn't happen sometimes.
The meta at this point is definitely rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, so sometimes you're just going to get a list that's the counter to your list. It happens. But for me, I still could have made some things work. We were playing ITC rules. There were still some objectives I could grab each turn, and the problem with having that many flyers, that means you don't have a lot of things on the board capturing. So I just needed to play strategically and hope not everything died, and I could get enough things to get the Maelstrom by the end of the game. So
you were just shooting for secondary.
I was just shooting for secondary, right? But the problem was I made one big error at the beginning of the game. So how this started off is I had first turn, he had second turn. I had my Harlequins all lined up. I had my bikes all lined up on the board. My 2 things I had to get that turn by ITC rules was I needed to have a unit in his deployment zone at the end of the first turn for all of us, and I'd get a point. And I needed to have 3 units in my deployment zone and none of his units in my deployment zone by the end of the turn. Pretty easy. That seemed easy for me because I had bikes. So I flew my bikes into his corner, far away from his cultists, so I was going to get 1 point there. Great move. I was also going to leave some of my guys toe in my deployment zone for some of my Harlequins, so I can also get that 2nd point. Now, the one thing is, though, he can't be on my deployment zone. That was one thing I had to keep in mind, and I was like, that's fine. He's got no bikes that can shoot all the way over here that quickly. He does have that Hound unit, but they're probably not going to reach me. Well, my C's is in my movement phase. I'm moving some guys. I'm leaving a few units back. I have 1 Harlequin troop, though, that I'm moving up. And I'm like, ooh, this Harlequin troop might be in range of those Hounds, but like he'd have to roll a pretty good charge to get this Harlequin troop, and I want them to be close so I can maybe, shoot and then charge in next turn. I was like, you know what, I'm going to risk it. I don't think he's going to get that good of a roll, so I move my Harlequin troop, my 1 on the right flank, up a little bit too close to his Hounds. So by the time he moves his Hounds and then charges, that's like a 10-inch charge. It was or a 10 or a 9-inch charge. It seemed pretty improbable, and I was like, you know what, I just want to have it be a little bit closer so I can do some more shots.
Sure.
Well, it's his turn. He moves his Hounds. He's within about 10 or 9 inches. Before he even goes to charge, he has like a torrent blast that I was too close to that I didn't know about. He also used some like terrible psychic power on my Harlequins that reduced their invulnerable save by 1. So instead of them all being 5-ups, they were 6-ups for the whole turn for that squad.
Fun.
Oh yeah, and then the Torrent Flamer hit it right afterwards with just obliterated half of the squad. And then finally, he charged and he made that 10-inch charge, and he just cleaned out the entire Harlequin squad by doing it. And the problem was that put him in my deployment zone, and one of his points that he needed to get was the one that I had too, which was have somebody in their deployment zone. So instead of me playing it safe and just having my bikes get that 1 point and keep my Harlequins back for 1 turn, just make sure he can't get to them, I would have ensured myself 2 points. Instead, he got a point and cost me 1 of mine. It was an entire 2-point swing swing and basically cost me an entire unit that could take down that big Death Star unit that he had.
At that point, he's also basically already on top of you.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I mean...
He was right in my lines. I gave him basically an extra 12-inch move in the movement phase, and it got him right into my lines. I didn't have to do that. I could have kept my guys at least out of a 12-inch charge from those hounds, but I got too risky with it. So my C's for this month is sometimes it pays off to be risky, but when you have an assured chance of getting points, sometimes it pays to just hold back and get those points.
Cautiousness.
Be cautious and guarantee yourself those points and then go crazy in the following turn. Be risky only when you have to be. But when you have it, just lock it down and hold on to it. All right, guys, so those are our seasons of the month, and that'll take us right into the Brown Library. This place just seems so different now.
I mean, it's empty and quiet except for the whispers that continue to grow louder.
Yeah, but that's sometimes that's normal.
I mean,
right?
Have you seen Greg, though?
I haven't seen Greg at all. Yeah, this is if anyone's hearing this, I don't know, because sometimes our signal is strong and sometimes it isn't in the Brown Library, but occasionally, Greg is usually here. He's very nice. He's a great host. He brings us tea or
I guess I should mention on the
blood
door,
of our enemies, but
I guess I should mention there was a sign on the door that said closed for refurbishment.
So you're telling me we snuck into the Brown Library without... I thought Greg was just like in the bathroom for a while.
I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah, but anyway, so let's talk about what you're saying so we can get out of here before somebody or something or Greg, I guess, finds out about it.
All right, so for this month we're delving into a blast from the past.
Ooh,
an army that we've used before that likes to get chosen along with the Greenskins.
Okay.
And that army is Chaos Space Marines.
Ooh, Chaos Space Marines.
They've made an appearance yet again, except that this time we're actually talking about it's another 2 unit because people couldn't decide once again and things died.
and again, for listeners who don't know or who are just joining us, we actually run a poll each month to see what we're going to talk about in the Brown Library.
Yes, on Daka in the fluffy and underused forms that's under Partial Arc. Yeah, so we do actually run a test to the public to allow the public to choose.
You guys can decide on whatever weird thing we have to research in this weird library.
Yeah, I mean, they make us get our hands dirty, that's for sure.
Quite literally. I don't know what's on your hand from pulling that book. But...
those aren't my hands anymore.
Oh, okay. Well, we should definitely check that out after we leave.
So, Chaos Space Marines, we're talking about 2 units. One that I've actually only ever seen played like once.
Ooh.
But the other is actually one of my favorite units in the army.
Oh, wow.
But this time, we're going to get to the ones I like second. So the first ones we talk about are Chaos Terminators.
Ooh.
Now, Chaos Terminators are largely discussed as one of the worst units in the game. And now...
Just as you named it, I was thinking for a second, I was like, people use Chaos... Oh, wait, those are Obliterators.
Those are
You're
not
right.
Terminators.
I don't often see Chaos Terminators.
I think the only time that I saw Chaos Terminators was when somebody was actually running Abaddon. Abaddon the Despoiler.
Is he the alternate version of Abaddon? Is Abaddon?
That's just how you pronounce his name in
Chaos?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you don't correct the Chaos Gods because if you do, they, torture you forever.
They do things.
If Zench tells you it's Abaddon, it's
things
Abaddon.
that take a long time to get over. But yeah, Chaos Terminators, they're interesting because, just like normal Space Marine Terminators, which you actually don't see much of anymore as well.
That's true, unless they're like Deathwing or maybe like Grey Knights or something like that.
Yeah, I guess those are, you pretty much just named the only 2 times that I remember seeing Space Marine Terminators in like the last 2 years.
Yeah, I guess those too.
Yeah, I guess they're not well loved because, they're fairly expensive models.
And everyone hates that Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Yeah. Everybody hates it, especially the second one.
I think you may have just caused a schism.
Those whispers are getting a lot louder after I said that.
Very upset.
So weird.
But Chaos Terminators are interesting only because they're actually lower cost to begin with than normal like Space Marine Terminators, but that's because they have a lot of options you can give them.
Really?
Which is actually pretty cool. So running through what they have, essentially they're only 31 points base. They're like a normal Space Marine Terminator. So imagine the full Space Marine Terminator stat line.
Okay.
All the normal stats plus a 2+ save, 5+ invul save.
Right.
Except that these guys, instead of being stocked with Power Fists and a Stormbolter, like a normal Space Marine Terminator, these guys have instead a Combi Bolter and a Power Weapon.
Oh, interesting.
Now, the Combi Bolter can be a lot of different things. But the one thing that, keys to me specifically is for 5 points a model, you can give them either a Combi Flamer, a Combi Melta, or Combi Plasma.
Right. Right.
Now let's remember, these are Terminators. This means that they can deep strike.
Yeah.
So that means that it's possible to give the entire squad, like Stern Guard, Combi Meltas.
Yeah, which is nice.
Or Combi Plasma, and just be like throwing 14 freaking plasma shots into something.
Yeah, that's pretty mean.
So like automatically it's going to be one of those two in this list. It's either Plasma or Melta.
Yeah, why not?
You know, your flavor's choice, essentially.
Right.
And they're going to function if they have Melta as your anti-tank, your deep strike anti-tank, or Plasma as your elite infantry unit killer. But they're still good in close combat. I mean, they're Terminators with power weapons.
Hey, Terminators aren't bad. 2+ saves.
You can also give them melee weapons if you want to. I mean, you could give them a Lightning Claw instead of a power weapon. You could give them a Power Fist for 7 points, which is a little expensive on the expensive side, since they'll strike last.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
But it does give them Strength 8, so it's just like...
Yeah, give and take.
Give and take.
Maybe give one of them.
Gives them AP 2 as well, so it's just like, meh.
Yeah, not bad.
But where it really comes into play is the marks that you can give them for the Chaos Gods and the icons that you can give them for the Chaos Gods.
Oh.
Because the marks are specifically, you know, Mark of Khorne, Mark of Tzeentch, Mark of Slaanesh, Mark of Nurgle.
Right, and of course Mark of Gozer, but they
Mark
haven't
of
released
Gozer.
that expansion
Right.
yet for the Chaos God of Architecture.
But then they also have icons that you can give them. The icons, except for one, 4 of the icons are specific to the gods themselves. Like, you can only take this icon if you have this mark.
That makes sense.
Ironically, I think the 2 best marks for them are the 2 cheapest ones.
Really?
So you can either give them a Mark of Khorne, which will give them essentially a fleet and a Furious Charge.
Okay,
Which
well,
is
that's not bad at
That's
all.
not bad. You can give them Mark of Tzeentch, which makes their 5+ invulnerable save a 4+ invulnerable save.
That's great.
You can give them Mark of Nurgle, which gives them all toughness 5. Or you can give them Mark of Slaanesh, which gives them some unique abilities that are just like, meh, they could be useful.
It makes them
essentially.
sexier.
What they also get from Mark of Slaanesh, which is interesting, is they get +1 to initiative. That's what it gives them. Which actually, the more I thought about it, is really useful only because they strike first before normal Space Marines.
That's true.
And if they have power weapons, that's even more effective.
You're going to be
because
cutting down those Space Marines.
They clean their clock, essentially, before the Space Marines get to fight back.
It's
And-
amazing to think that in like the Chaos world, like when you become a Terminator, you kind of like go on vacation because nobody takes you. It's like, I've trained so hard. Finally, I'm adopting the Terminator armor, and so guys, when are we going into the fray? I want to kill. It's like, oh well, we actually
We've got this nice
you,
vacation package.
You must be new. You're new to the Terminators. Oh man, hey, so like we're all going to Space Bahamas next week.
But here's where the units essentially get interesting, is with icons. Icons, essentially, which is, you know, like I said, except for one, because there's 5 of them, there's particular for each Chaos God.
Right.
The 2 that I don't think are super useful are the icon for Nurgle and the icon for Tzeentch. Where it gets really interesting is the icon for Khorne, if you take the Mark of Khorne, and the icon for Slaanesh, if you take the Mark of Slaanesh. Now, the icon for Slaanesh is super expensive. It's 40 points.
Oof.
It's essentially the cost of a Terminator. But what it gives them, the icon gives them all Feel No Pain.
Oh, that's pretty nice.
Yeah, so essentially they would have a 2+ save, a 5+ invul, and a 5+ Feel No Pain. That gives them some pretty good survivability.
I'm too sexy to die.
I mean, I essentially they just coked up at that point and they just don't feel pain.
Yeah, they're probably really coked up
They're
if you were
just
hanging out with
numb.
Slaanesh.
It's literally just
They're raving out there. They're raving out on the battlefield.
Rebreather filled with cocaine.
Oh God.
But then the icon of Wrath, which is the Khorne icon, if you were to run them as like pure close combat, and
Right.
you can give them things like twin lightning claws or just power fists and stuff, and run them as a close combat unit. And
Makes
remember,
sense.
they're Terminators, so they're gonna be decent in close combat. But what the icon of Wrath does, the Khorne item, it gives them all rage and counterattack.
Oh wow.
So it just means that if they're charging, they get +2 attacks. If they're not charging, they get +2 attacks. So it's just like they always have a shit ton of attacks,
Jeez.
plus fleet and furious charge.
And all of those things combined make them really mean in close combat.
Like, I think you run the Feel No Pain if you are like deep striking them as just like a backfield annoyance unit.
right, and you want to keep them alive for maybe one more round.
Yeah.
Like, sure, they're going to blow up whatever they're going after, but when the people turn around and start firing back, hopefully some of them are still left at the end of it.
Exactly. Whereas I think you take the Khorne mark if you just want them as like they're just going fucking ape shit, because
Yeah.
essentially that will give them like 4 attacks each.
That or a great counter assault unit. Just have them hanging back with your independent character, and then if something gets close, break break them off and just send them right in.
Well, and that's where another thing comes into play, is that as soon as if you attach a Chaos Sword to them or something like that, then that makes a whole new can of worms, essentially. 'Cause you deep strike that unit in the back lines, and it's suddenly like, well, shit, like...
We gotta deal with this problem immediately.
Yeah, that's hard to deal with.
So what is the second unit?
The second unit is literally probably more than 1,000 Suns, my favorite...
Oh, jumped it!
My favorite unit in Chaos Space Marines.
You heard it right here.
And that is the Possessed.
The Possessed? I don't even know what the Possessed are.
Possessed?
I'm confused.
All right, so normally you'd think like an exorcism a possession would be a bad thing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure possessions are bad most of the time. Even in the Grimdark.
Well, these guys are like the opposite. They're just like, come on, baby, possess this body.
Come on, possess me, please, somebody.
So they're literally Marines.
So these are guys that like go to haunted places like continuously. They're like, come on, somebody, a poltergeist, a demon, anything.
They even like scar their bodies up and they debase themselves as much as they can to be
so they can be
most
possessed.
Attractive target to be possessed. And a lot of them don't get possessed by just one thing.
So they're like hitting on spirits. They're like negging the spirits. They're like, I'd love to have you possess me, but like you're just not that cool, spirit. And the spirit's like, what? You don't like me? Oh, I want to possess you more. And then they possess them.
Ironically, to them, the ritual of possession is like the closest union of flesh and chaos. So like them being possessed is like the greatest high they can have, essentially.
Wow. It's spiritual coitus is what it is.
It's exactly what it is.
Man, what a weird place the chaos world is. You've got sad Terminators and dudes just hanging out in graveyards trying to...
It's a place of a lot of confusion. You get a lot of weird feelings. You grow hair in a lot of weird places.
Imagine the dating apps for possessed. It's like Tinder, but it's like which demon. It's like swipe left, swipe right for demon.
Except that sometimes when you swipe left or swipe right, you'll still get them. You
just no matter what, like nope, swipe left. Oh, you get both. You get left and right.
How dare you swipe left with me?
I just haven't been getting the possessions I've been looking for. I mean, I've tried MatchDemon.com and I tried Tinder Spectre, and just none of them seem to work for me.
I know. I tried OK Demonic for a while.
OK Demonic?
Plenty of Demons is that one too.
Well, you know what? I'm kind of in a Plenty of Demons part of my life, so I think I'm gonna try it out. OK Demonic? OK Demonic.
So these possessed, they get all these demons in them essentially. One or many.
So when you're possessed, you're not monogamous. Basically, it's an open door relationship policy for spirits.
Yeah, it's definitely both. It's definitely, you could have one demon that doesn't want anybody else in there, and then you can have a demon that's just like, come on in.
Come on in, guys. Room for one more.
And so these guys are interesting because essentially their bodies, like their armor and their flesh, gets warped to whatever needs the demons imagine they have. So like they have like weird like claws, and like where the armor begins and the flesh ends is
all in one thing.
Very blurred.
Ooh.
These guys are like crazy. They're
obviously
batshit nuts at this point. Oh, and let's remember, one reason that I love 40k is I love the rules like orcs. I love random rules when random things happen, and these guys have one of those.
They have random rules?
Yeah, so they essentially think about it like this. These guys are expensive base. They're 26 points base, so they're like more than they're about double the cost of a Space Marine.
Okay.
With a normal...
Well, that's because they've got an extra spirit in them, so they're double.
But they have a normal Space Marine stats.
Okay.
Except that they have Strength 5.
Oh, well, that's nice.
That's important.
They get a little extra Spectral Punch.
They have no ranged weapons.
Okay.
But they are fearless. They do have fleet. And they do have the Daemon rule as well, which means they have fear and a 5+ invul save.
That's not bad.
So that ain't bad at all. Now, their random mechanic is interesting. Essentially, since they're, close combat only units because they have no ranged weapons.
Right.
So they have one thing that you roll for at the beginning of each fight subphase.
Okay, cool.
So each combat essentially they do different things, which, can be beneficial or not.
Right, depending on the randomness that happens.
But that's part of the fun.
That's fun. What are the spirits going to do now?
And like I said, they're 3+ save with 4 toughness, and they have 5+ invul, so they're not like that easy to dispatch. They're also fearless, so you can't make them break.
Yeah, it's true.
So their powers, it's a D3. You get one of 3 things. Either you get the ability to reroll all fail to wound rolls.
Not bad.
You get Vorpal Claws, which gives them AP3 melee.
Very cool.
Great. And then you can also give them super speed, which gives them +1 to attack and +1 to initiative.
Oh, that's great too.
So pretty much they're all good. The best one I think is probably the number 2 and giving them all AP3. I mean, they're all, none of them are bad is the point.
Yeah.
It's like you get, yeah, it's random and you may be banking on AP3, but like none of them are bad choices.
No, I mean, regardless, each of them make you just way meaner in close combat. I was hoping there wasn't going to be one in there that's like, if you roll a 5 to 6, you just dance.
Yeah,
like you don't do anything.
A dud one, yeah. I'm always afraid with the random mechanics that there's a dud one, but I think orcs are really the only
I remember
ones that
there were
dud.
old mechanics. I don't know if they're still in the game, but I think it was like Chaos Dreadnoughts. You could like roll a roll and they would like shoot another Dreadnought or something. They could like kill one of their own units.
The Hellbrutes don't, as far as I remember, they've got rid of that.
They got rid of that
They
roll?
don't shoot their own guys anymore.
Sure, that pissed a few people off.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's cool that these possessed actually do what you want them to do. They just vary in how they do it.
Here's where it really comes into play is the marks.
Okay.
So just like with our Terminators we talked about previously, you have these 4 marks and then these 5 icons you can give them.
Okay.
And it's the same things for them as it is for the Terminator. So you think about that. I mean, automatically, like, my eye wants to go to the Slaanesh one because that makes them I5 and then possibly I6 in
if you
close
roll
combat.
that one boost, yeah.
And once again, they don't have grenades because, you know,
Why would they have them? Those spirits hate grenades. They're like, what do we need these for? Like, get them out of here.
Reasons. Well, you know, you've heard many a times our listeners of our opinions of how grenades shouldn't really be in the game.
They really just shouldn't be in the game. They're just kind of a silly rule. You'd also think if you were doing that, you'd actually get to do like a grenade attack or something like that, you know?
Yeah, I mean...
You know, use them. What are you using them for when you're running into initiative? Are you throwing them like stones at people? Like, ah!
I think it's supposed to act... It's saying that they're like flashbangs when you're going into combat.
Okay.
I guess.
Sure. Games Workshop.
Maybe I'm grasping at straws here.
You know, sometimes if I twist it to the left, it makes a big flashy light sound, and then if I twist it to the right, it kills people. Well, wouldn't we want to just keep using the one that kills people? I mean, it's great that we could blind some people, but I feel like we should just kill them instead. I don't think you're understanding. The flashbang's pretty cool.
Do you know what happens when you go into bushes?
I mean, you have no idea. Those bushes, impervious to grenades, but light. Ooh.
Pretty much.
That makes sense, right?
That's the logic.
I think it makes sense.
Where it comes into play, where they're interesting, is the icons. They essentially the powers that you can give them to enhance them even further. Now, these guys have base 2 attacks in close combat. Doesn't seem like much. 3 on the charge is kind of just like, whatever.
Yeah.
But then suddenly when you give them, like, say, a Mark of Khorne, then that gives them, well, they already have fleet, but it gives them Furious Charge, which means they'd be Strength 6 on the charge.
Which is really nice.
And then if you give them the Khorne icon, that gives them Rage and Counterattack, which means that they're essentially always rocking a minimum of 4 attacks, which is...
not bad.
Pretty sexy.
Yeah, and with that Strength 6, like,
Strength
you could
6.
kill some Dreadnoughts. Because they're walkers, you're attacking front armor. You could do it.
And then
you
imagine...
could easily kill vehicles.
And then imagine if you get, like, the number 3 ability that gives them instead an additional attack and an additional initiative.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think if they're rocking a transport, which is what you're gonna do, you're gonna put them in transpo so they can get places.
You don't want those crazy people just running around out there in the field. You need to direct that craziness.
I mean, they don't have scouts or they don't have infiltrates.
Right. You gotta. The only way you're gonna get them that close without getting gunned down is you gotta ride them up there.
You gotta ride them up, and you gotta just put them at the front line in that rhino and just flat out straight at the enemy and just be like, you better hope. And that's the odd thing with them, because they can't assault out of the rhino. You're actually hoping that your enemy kills the rhino. Oh wait, no, they patched that rule.
No, they patched
Never
that rule
mind.
because now if it gets destroyed, you can't assault the following turn.
Right. So actually, it's really just get there and then get out next turn, and unfortunately, you still have to wait a turn.
Dance around, scare you.
You have to get rid of all of them because they have Fearless. So you have to get rid of all of them. If even one guy lives, if he gets the AP3 ability, like, even Space Marine squads are going to be like, this is a problem.
That dude could kill a combat squad.
He could kill a combat squad by himself.
That's pretty awesome.
That's one guy.
That's pretty great, in my opinion.
Yeah, so then obviously you do the same thing with them if you can, which is you give them a Lord. Or you just, once again, you can just run maybe the Terminators with Lords and Deep Strike them, or run the Lords with the Possessed as, like, super bodyguards and have the Lord take all the hits.
Okay.
And then just flood them into close combat on just basically that preemptive for third turn of just being like, it's coming.
So basically you combo the Terminators with the Possessed and do like a double close combat charge army.
It's essentially an envelopment.
You know what you could do? If you charge the Rhinos up, then the second turn when they get out, you drop and deep strike the close combat Terminators in front of them. They eat the hits, and then they get in, followed by the possessed.
Well, Terminators are, like I said, their stock actually not bad at close combat. I actually, that same strategy was when I was thinking about, that's why you give them Mark of Slaanesh. So all the Terminators are giving them all cover saves. They're all in front, and then they all have Feel No Pain. So they can take hits, but they also come all with Combi Meltas. So what you do is second turn, the Terminators come down. They kill all the transports that would have had enemy units for the possessed to charge, and then third turn rolls around, and you're literally charging everything they have.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's the other thing, is that if you do that combo, literally everything in your army has fleet.
So turn 2, you cripple, and third turn, you just overrun with just crazy close combat murder squads.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeez. So what is this list called?
I've thought about it for a while, and I think the best name for it is Reverse Exorcism. Whatever that means.
We need an evil sorcerer and a young sorcerer. We need them here to get some possessed in these men. They're healthy, they're normal, we need some damn spirits in here. We're going to war tomorrow. Get me the sexy oil. We need sexy oil to get those sexy demons in this guy. Real weird.
Yeah, it got weird real fast, but I mean, that's chaos.
And that's chaos, and that's Grimdark.
The land of confusion where things get weird
They
real
have
quick.
demon sexy oil in the Grimdark for chaos.
I really don't want to know what that is.
To summon in. What is sexy demon oil made out of? Let's not think about it too long.
There's very quick leaps that I choose not to address.
Let's not think about it. You know what this army is like? This is like the replacements. This is like the regular Chaos army couldn't make it. Well, what do we got, guys? It's like, well, we got these Terminators, but, well, nobody believes in them. There's also these crazy people. They just have sex with spirits and hang out in graveyards. Like, they're also insane. Like, we can't use these. It's like, you know what?
With their powers combined,
I believe in them. You know what this is? We've basically created the grimdark version of the Mighty Ducks. You know, nobody believed in the Terminators, and nobody believed in the possessed.
So the Terminators are like the kids that were already established at hockey, and then the possessed are all the kids they picked up off the street to give their team flavor.
Do you think Amelia Estevez would be our demon lord?
I mean, is there any other name?
I mean, I believe Emilio Estevez was a demon lord.
We have two demon princes. So we have Emilio Estevez and we have Father Marin, and those are the two.
Those are the two running our weird Mighty Ducks Chaos Space Marine list. All right, guys. So that was episode 14 of Roll to Seize. We'll be posting a new episode every month. If you'd like to download more episodes or check out other similar podcasts, head over to partialarc.com. That's arc with a C. You can email us any questions at rolltoseize@gmail.com or chat with us on dakadaka.com and help decide the next Brown Library segment. Search for fluffy/underrated units in the 40K general discussion forums. Of course, you can always follow us on Twitter and Instagram for tournament and model picks at partialarc. Thanks for listening, and your fun fact for this month is...
Ironically, in the Chaos universe, like, armor and flesh are the same thing.
Really?
You never have to take off your clothes in the Chaos universe. It's just all technically naked people.
They're all in their birthday suits, basically.
Birthday suits, whether it's the birthday suit they were born with or with the ones they were reborn with.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.